Good evening, everybody. It's good to see y'all.
Hey, how's your evening going? Chime in. Welcome, everyone, to our fifth anniversary celebration. It's been 5 years of Kinkofa, and we'll get into all about what Kinkofa is, how we got started, and what it is that we have to share with you today. We'll have some demos and a little bit of Q&A, and also just hearing from you all on things that you're working on, and how Kinkofa supports the things that you're working on.
So, you want to get started?
Yeah. So to get started, my name is Jourdan, Jourdan Brunson, and I'm joined by Meshia Rutledge, who is we are the founders of Kinkofa, and we are also cousins. So 5 years ago, we met on another app called Clubhouse, where we were building community for Black folks who wanted to learn more about their family history, connect with their roots. And we were in the process of doing that for ourselves, learning more about our family history, and trying to discover how we're related to one another. And we both were using different tools to try to figure that out, staying up into the wee hours of the night, trying to grow our family tree, connect with relatives, fill in the gaps. And we both have backgrounds in technology. So we were using, like I said, different tools, but also thinking about how we can make the experience of discovering our family history, documenting our stories, our memories, much more easeful. And so we started just thinking about what needs to exist, what sort of technology can better support us in our efforts to document our story. And in the process of doing that, Misha and I actually found out that we're cousins. I'm not sure how that happened.
I was actually going to say that happened because we were staying up late with some of you all that are here on the screen with us. So, shout out to Terica, I see in the comments. We met on Clubhouse, as Jordan mentioned. And during that time, we were with a bunch of folks who were trying to figure out, who were very interested in genealogy and built a community around genealogy and really focused on finding our connections to each other. And in doing that and piloting our relative matching tool, we actually learned that we're long lost cousins. I think since then, we have found many more connections, maybe not the specific ancestor yet, so that is ongoing, but we have had a few serendipitous things to happen since then over the years. Maybe like once a year, something really great happens. So last year, Jordan was reviewing some photos that his grandmother gave him. And in that, actually found a photo of one of my grandmother's, I guess her uncle, her grand uncle. So that was really exciting, and she hadn't seen a picture of him before. So that's one way. I think last year we also learned from Jordan's mom that we share more connections, and just talking about people we know and like my family that has lived in Chicago over time. And I think there's just many more connections to uncover, and I'll let Jordan chime in with more.
Yeah, so those are the sort of connections that we've built for. We want more folks to be able to connect with their relatives, and to document a story that they're a part of that someone else also might need to know. That story that Misha just shared about finding her grandmother's uncle in my grandmother's photo collection doesn't happen if we don't have the possibility of connecting, documenting our own stories, and then making each other's stories discoverable. And so that's what our tools at Kinkofa do. They enable us to document things like oral histories or the photo albums that might be sitting in shoeboxes or in a chest and only get pulled out during the holidays. The oral histories or memories that we hold, the records, newspaper clippings, other things that really tell our unique stories, but need to be documented and preserved, but also shared so that others have access. And so we'll show a little bit how that works. on our platform.
Um, Before we get into like demoing all the new things that we have, I first want to, I think some of our summer associates came up with some questions that they wanted us to share with the audience and to ask each other. So, what have been, I guess, some of your favorite moments over the last 5 years?
Definitely travel, I think, is a big piece of not just our work, but what's called memory work. So, just researching our own family histories, going to places of significance to Black history, and learning different stories about different figures, meeting with and working with communities and helping them to document their story. Like in Dallas, we work with the 10th Street Historic District, which is a freedmen's town, to record and document oral histories and other documents that now are part of a collection that we helped curate, or we did curate, at the Library of Congress, as well as the 10th Street Digital Museum, which we created. We've worked with Africatown, the descendants of that community who many of them descend from survivors of the Clotilda, the last known slave ship to bring enslaved Africans to the U.S. We've connected with a number of folks all over the country. And like I mentioned at the start, we built a digital community first. And it's been really rewarding to get to meet some of the people that we started out with. Even this year, a lot of that has happened. What about you?
Well, I think you took two of my favorites, but definitely, I think seeing the Library of Congress project come to fruition. It's that particular project is as old as the company is. The idea for it came only a few months after, I think like about 3 months after we launched. And it's been something that's grown beyond our wildest dreams, been shared and partnered with people that really have made it meaningful, especially for me as a descendant of the community. I think I've had the firsthand opportunity to learn from elders there, stories about family members that I never got to meet. So that's been one of my favorite parts, definitely working with communities and learning about different folks. So learning about Colesville in Virginia, Africatown, other freedmen's towns, I think the all Black towns in Oklahoma. So the more, I think the travel part is it. I think we've been to, I think it's 26 states together now in the last 5 years. So I think that's really cool. If Jordan will go with me on a road trip, we'll get the rest of those places and maybe find the Black history as far as we can go. So I think one of my other favorite things of travel was actually I think it was last year. Was it last year that I went to Utah? Okay. Well, it was last year. We went to Utah for an event. And on the way there, we were listening to a podcast. Shout out to our ancestors were messy. And it was actually a story of migration about Oscar Micheaux, the famous film director, and his journey to find love and happiness. And he had moved to, was it Oregon? He moved to like Oregon, and we were actually traveling.
It's Wyoming.
Wyoming, and we were actually traveling that way. And so as we were listening to the podcast, we were like looking things up. Well, one of us driving, one was looking it up and talking about it. And it was just like really moving to hear that story, and like a story that a lot of people didn't know about him. And so that was cool to actually put Black history like in place. I definitely think the map and releasing the app and having the last few years having interns in the summer and seeing the work that they've done with us has been a joy for me. And then I would definitely say my other joy is just getting to know my cousin more. Like the absolute best thing about it is getting to know my cousin more and our families more. Shout out to all of our family.
Yes. Beautiful answer.
Thank you. So I think one of the other questions I wanted to know is what have been some of the challenges?
Well, I think building anything from scratch is a challenge. And in a way, we didn't build from scratch. I think a lot of our work is deeply inspired by work that we've seen and people who we look up to, like Zora Neale Hurston, Dr. Mamie McKnight, Donald
Eddie Faye
Payton,
Gates.
Eddie Faye Gates, yeah. folks in the memory work and genealogy and history, Black history communities,
and information work.
and information work, yes, who really make it possible for um, some of our practices to exist, for some technologies to exist, and just kind of motivate us because they've done the things before us. But I still think there's, challenging moments of trying to figure out, there's so many things that we could do. And I think that was clear from the beginning for us. In April of 2021, we both, and maybe it was a series of days and really conversations over a few months, that we knew we wanted to build something more or something new, apart from genealogy tools or research and DNA things. We wanted to build something for us, and the unique ways that we carry our stories and our history and want to discover and document all of that. And so we created a Google Doc called Operation Wakanda, with lots of ideas and dreams for how that can happen. And I think it's something that we periodically go back to, where some of the things that we've gone on to build are now or part of that document. One of them we'll be sharing today, Connect, which is supporting family reunions and gathering. But I think the challenge is sometimes figuring out, what comes first or what comes next. And there's an infinite list of things. What about you?
I'll name one right now. So one of the things that's happening is I don't think we're live on Instagram. So definitely the shifts in technology is something that it's always a challenge. And so I just want to make sure, sorry if you all can hear me typing for a second, but I need to make sure that we are going live everywhere that we want to be live. I think we are, maybe we're not, but we can replay it. So one of the challenges I think there is, I think there's partners that we want to partner with, because there's a lot of Black history preserve and like Black collections and communities that need help, but not necessarily like personally not necessarily not wanting to help without, of course we want to help with everything, but we're only two people and there's people who have lived experience in those communities. And so I think one of the challenges has been not spreading ourselves too thin. Because I think people resonate, like they meet us, they resonate with what we're doing, and it can be sad to not be able to help with like every single thing. But I think one of the most beautiful parts of that has been being able to teach people how to do things so that they can do it on their own. And with that, like we've built community trust that way, and then seeing people go on and do their own things or support them in doing things that they've wanted to do for their community. So that's been a joy, and that's why we're developing the technology that we're developing. I would say another challenge has just been the political environment, not necessarily towards us, but I think for organizations that we might work with, they are either, I think it's twofold, they're either under-resourced and losing funding, or having to close down, or not being able to have enough staff. But I think the other thing with that is there's also been funders that are helping people continue, and more donors and more interested, more understanding of how important it is to preserve our history, not just family history, but community history, organizational history. And so that's something that I think is both a challenge and a blessing. I think one of the other questions, I have to remember the other question, is what's something that if, before we get into the demo, you could build today that would really change the way people preserve or document their family history, what would it be?
I mean, I think for a lot of folks that are in our age range, time is a big constraint around preventing us from doing what we may know needs to be done. That may be scanning a photo or going to record an interview with an elder, or planning a family reunion. So I think anything that I'm interested in building makes those things easier, makes those sort of things easier for folks who care about, preserving those stories, learning, and just carrying our legacy forward, but don't always have the time or the know-how. So I would just say, generically, something that makes it easier to do that. And I think anything that we have built has that in mind. Anything that we will build does as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I have one that Jordan's probably tired of hearing me say. But I think it would be really important for us to have, with our digital archive tool, some way to like take the. Actually, I'll take that back. Let me take what I was about to say back.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably virtual family reunion planning. I think for some people, I know for me, I had a family reunion recently, and just due to travel costs for some people, illness, there's people who've wanted to um, participate in the family reunion, but it was kind of hard to find a way for them to do it. So I definitely think having some kind of way to enable families to have virtual family reunions would be the next thing that I would be really excited to do. That makes you excited?
Yeah, I mean, I think I made a little face. I think that's definitely on the horizon. Would love to hear for the people who are on watching live or watching this back, what you all kind of dream or imagine existing and supporting, whether it's memory work, legacy planning, anything that kind of preserves our history, story, legacy. What sort of things do you think, or would you want?
Oh, can I add another? I think the next thing is just like having a place where it's easier for people to find the information that they're looking for. So maybe that's archival collections. Technically, all this stuff is coming in the app. So just having more information so that people can do whatever it is they want to do. So whether that's plan an art exhibition, plan a family reunion, maybe it's make a fashion, maybe it's make a T-shirt, or design something based on something you saw in a family photo. Maybe it's just like knowing who your family is. I really am looking forward to doing that. That's something I care a lot about right now, especially with AI and making sure people have factual information and just access to it, and not. I think as AI is going faster and technology is going faster, it's getting harder and harder to find like the source of truth in the real thing. And so I think having a place that we know that we vetted the information will be just monumental to a lot of people.
I have a question for you. So we're at 5 years. 5 years ago, I'm sure we had some like, oh, in 5 years we want to be here, or want to have this impact. 5 years from now, because I think 5 years later we have had some pretty important impact and have been able to work on some really incredible things. What do you want for 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I think one of my biggest dreams is just that like everybody knows that kinkofa is where Black folks can go to preserve our community history, our family history, our church, our organizational, whatever history it is, our own personal history. It's the trusted place that you can do that, that we can be with our families, chosen, fictive, whatever version of family we have or care about, that they all know that they also know that it's a safe place for you to come on the internet and do these things. I would want for, I think those are like my two biggest dreams. I would hope that like at that particular point too, that we've enabled like lots of museums and other things locally to preserve the things that they have, and in turn like they're able to provide more access to people around them. And then I think overall I want to say we've preserved like 100 million items or more. I don't even know how much that is. don't even know how much that is really, but yeah, I think same question to you. Do you remember your own question?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the like mission or vision that carries us or keeps us moving is making um, making sure that Black folks have a tool for us that can not only hold our stories, but gives us a greater sense of pride for where we come from, what we do, what our traditions are, and just having a knowing of who we are and who our people are.
Shay.
So
Number one.
that's one. But I think the other thing is, while I have an interest in my own family history, like research, so more looking at the records and building a family tree, that's not everybody's interest. They may want to know, who their ancestors were, where they come from, without all of the research intensive parts. And so I think one thing that we're continually working toward is how we can enable those discoveries, family history discoveries, or community history, Black history discoveries, without feeling like you need to spend many, many hours or years digging for that story or that history. So I think 5 years from now, there should be, an easy button basically for folks who have something to preserve, but also people who want to discover. That should be made much easier. And I think that we're heading in that direction.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be cool to have like the ability to switch like languages. Would be really cool. And then in that, like even different regional dialects. Mm-hmm. So how do you say doll?
Doll.
No, I think there's like I say green. What I say, green beans, and Jordan says
green beans.
Okay, like I mean, I think we can still get it, but being able to have it in a way that is understanding and absolutely having a mobile app that people love and use. And I was actually going to say earlier the text to upload, and I think with that we'll have like tons of things that people do. Yeah, I just think like there'll be new things, and I think I'll say a challenge. I know I didn't say this earlier. I think another challenge is like internet and digital literacy. And like because there's so many things that are AI generated, which AI is not necessarily bad or good. It's complex, but I think one of the things that's come with that is people are distrusting of like things that are genuine, and I think that's like a really hard job to overcome. But I think we do it well. But I think that my hope is that digital literacy grows like through the use of our platform and like understanding that you own your data, right? And like what that really means. And I know a lot of other platforms are moving towards doing different things with that, but I hope that like digital literacy, like that we help all generations, multiple generations become more and more digitally literate through using our platform.
Ashe.
Okay. So I guess without further ado, unless there's any other questions you have for me.
We can get to that later.
Okay. So for some of you all, this might be the first time you've seen the kinkofa platform at all. So we are going to show, what do you want to show first? Do you want to show the archive tool, or do you plan to show family reunion planning? What do you want to do?
Well, we're in not really the middle, but really high time in summer for family reunions. Some of you may have just had a reunion, have one coming up, or thinking about it. And it's perfect timing. Kinkofa just launched our family reunion planning tool called Kinnect, which makes it so much easier. And I think before showing the demo, we can just share a little bit about how that came to be, where we both have planned family reunions for our own families. And if you've been a part of planning family reunion, or really just planning any sort of decently sized event, you know that it can be a lot. It can basically be a second job, where you have to think about who's coming, where it's going to be. But in some cases, coordinating travel, working with vendors, collecting payments from different people,
Planning the games, choosing the
itinerary.
T-shirt, the hotel,
Yeah, it's a lot.
collecting the funds, building the website.
Working with others.
Yes.
So all of that can be challenging because there really isn't a place for all of that to happen. I know in our case, for me, I'll start just last year. I planned one
But
of
you
my
started in
branches.
2024.
Yeah. So last year, one of my family branches had its first reunion in 25 years. There was a tradition from 1990 to 2000 that just no longer happened. I think it's really understandable given how much work it is and how intergenerational reunion planning can be. And long story short, it stopped. And so in 2024, after some encouragement from some cousins who remembered reunions, and then also talking to Misha and seeing her family plan their reunion, I thought about how that tradition could be brought back, and where it made sense to do it and how to do it, and started stitching together a lot of different tools to try to make it happen, to collect payments, to message, to make a website. Basically, you're paying for 5 or 6 different things and having to manage all those tools and help get the thing done with other folks. And so there are a lot of pain points to solve. You want to talk about your reunion, or really what led you to want Connect to exist?
Actually, I have a lot of reasons I wanted it to exist. One of the reasons is I think in my family, across all lines, I have been the tech person, tech support. And I know for me, as a person that has helped with it, I end up doing lots of jobs that the tech can do it on its own. And so I wanted to not make it so much of my job. Not that I mind to have to manage so many tools like Jordan shared, but I think one of the other things I was really thinking about is just the popularity and the importance of family reunions. And so one thing that I was thinking about with that, and so I don't know if a lot of people know this, so random fact. 19 family reunions have been happening since after enslavement, when Black families took out what was called lost friends or information wanted ads in newspapers across the country. There is a collection on informationwanted.org, where you can find those letters, or the Historic New Orleans collection, where they have these letters, and people were looking for their families for literally years. And so this is something that Jordan and I have talked about since the beginning of Kinkofa, and like if we could ever help those families that, like, because we don't know what happens. Like, we see the information wanted ads and you read them, and like they're very heartwarming and heart wrenching too in some cases, and we don't know if they were ever reunited. And so I think one of the biggest things that we've thought about over time is how to reconnect those families. So in 1977, fast forward to Roots. And some families have been having family reunions before what I'm about to say. But in 1977, Roots comes out. Black folks make the National Archives and then Library of Congress like so full with looking for information about our families. Everybody's trying to do it, and that spurs family reunions too. And so one of the reasons that we decided to also build a family reunion planning tool outside of like the need to make it a little bit like less stressful, was the fact that we realized that one of the biggest ways that people preserve and pass down and document and create family history is actually through family reunions. And so for us, it just made natural sense. And one thing I will say with that is I was looking through some archives, and I was looking in Ebony magazine, and I actually saw an article from, I think it was like 1997, about someone planning a family reunion on the computer. Like, granted, it was just typed up in Microsoft Word and made a form, but I was just thinking about how much Black folks innovate in terms of technology. Like we might be the most innovative. Like there's different kinds of technologies, right? There's ancestral, there's indigenous, there's lots of different kinds of technology. But I was realizing that between that time of that article and like now almost 40 years later, there hadn't been many advances besides like, now we got to a website. Some people might have had Google groups and Yahoo groups and Facebook groups. And like, that's getting harder and harder for people to connect with each other, pun intended. So that's the reason that we decided to, one of the reasons that we decided to launch Kinnect was to allow people to, once again, Black folks to be on the forefront of bringing our families together, and showing a positive use for technology. I think right now a lot of people. And so one of the things that I really enjoy doing is taking technology that other people use in a different way and using that to preserve Black history or to connect Black folks. And so that's just the natural progression of what we're doing. So without further ado, we can share Kinnect, our family reunion planner. It's KINNECT. So in just a second, we will have Jourdan sharing screen. There we go.
All right. So what we're looking at here is just an account on Kinkofa. So it's an account on Kinkofa where I can go ahead and create a reunion. Just 1 second. All right. So I have some actual reunions that are set up that we'll look at in a second, but I'll just go through the flow of creating a new one. So you start with the basics, what you call the reunion. So maybe you have one that has been ongoing. Maybe it's the Johnson family gathering or the Henderson family affair. Or maybe you haven't had a reunion before, and this is the chance to come up with that moniker. What will people call this reunion? So we'll just go with
the Johnson family vacation.
The Johnson family vacation, okay. And so then you'll pick a date. So when this reunion is happening.
Definitely Juneteenth next year.
Okay. So Juneteenth. Oh, and it's on a weekend.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
We'll just set it for that weekend date and then where it's happening.
Definitely in Texas. So let's say Dallas.
Okay. So you already note down the basic details for the reunion: when it's happening, where it's happening, what it is, what it's called. Next, you can choose to select essentially a format. Like, what's the plan for the reunion? Is it a cookout? Is it a potluck? Will it be multiple days or a single day? Is it a cruise or something else? And this really just helps the platform help you. And thinking about what you need to do, what sort of tasks you might have, or other ideas to plan this reunion out. It could be cost related or other things. So what are we doing, a multi-day?
Yes.
Okay. So multi-day reunion. We're going to have t-shirts as part of this reunion. There are other things that we'll share in a little bit. And then who's showing up? We'll say that this reunion will be about 100 people, and we're going to sell tickets.
And sell tickets might be dues or other words that you call them.
Mm-hmm.
Packages. I know some people say that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, whatever covers the cost of coming to the reunion. So registration or something else. And then is anyone helping you plan? So it could be either just you, or maybe you have a committee helping you. And Kinnect is collaborative. You can invite others to help you with the planning process. And next, you can tell us a little bit about the reunion. So who's organizing it?
Uncle Leon.
Okay, Uncle Leon. And then this is just the email for this account. And we can just add a little description here about the reunion. So this is something that guests who are invited would see if you publish a website on Kinnect and basically offer information on what to expect. So what should we expect for the Johnson family vacation?
It's the Johnson Juneteenth Jubilee. And it's 3 days. I was trying to make more J words, but 3 days of food, fun, and family. And festivities, I guess. But that's fine. All are welcome. Tell a cousin to tell a cousin.
All right. So got us a description and who's planning it. Next, we can select a theme or a vibe for visuals for this reunion. So we'll share it in a little bit, but if we publish a website with all of our reunion details, ways for people to register, to maybe buy a t-shirt or pay dues, or just get the information that they need about the reunion, will be branded with a vibe that you set. And so we said Jubilee. Are we going Jubilee or do we want to go with something else?
Yes, it's Juneteenth.
Okay.
Gotta go with the red, white, and blue.
All right.
Perfect.
So we got the Johnson family vacation. And the last step here is just to claim our reunion link. So this is a link that can be shared with family members so that they can get all the details, register, and make it easy for you to collect payments, registration, what other information you need from family. So it's up to the Johnson Family Vacation 2027. We'll just leave it at that. All right, and our reunion is being created. And there we go. I'm actually going to switch to a different reunion just so that you could see what everything looks like when it's filled out. But before I do that, I'll just show what's on this main page. So after creating the reunion, we can see the reunion details at the top, how many days until the date, some basic things. So we said that 100 people might attend, and so we can keep track of how we're trekking toward that goal, how much in terms of funds have been collected, and any action items needed. Then below, there's a checklist essentially to help us figure out what are some of the first things that we can do. So we said that we're going to be planning with the committee. We can invite committee members to join. We can add a cover image, which shows up here, but also on our reunion website once we publish it. We can set up our tickets or registration or dues. We can configure t-shirts, as I indicated that we would be selling t-shirts. You can connect Stripe. So like I mentioned before, there's no more need unless you want to have so many different ways to collect reunion payments or t-shirt payments or whatever else you might need to collect. You can collect it in one place on Kinnect. So if you use things like you can collect, maybe you already use things like Cash App or some other credit card checkout system. On Kinnect, you can collect from those payment methods and more, anything from Cash App, credit card, debit card. There are flex payment options so that people can spread out their payments and have payment plans. And you can track all of that from inside Kinnect. You can estimate your costs. You can estimate your costs, which could be, maybe the venue or other things that have to be rented. You can also open your registration and publish your reunion website. And we'll get into those things in a second. All right. We were just checking to make sure you can hear us. So next I'm going to switch to another reunion just so you can see what the real deal looks like. So on this Jackson family reunion, most of this checklist has been updated. So as you check things off, it'll be noted here. Also minimize it. This reunion has up to 150 people estimated, and so far 46 have registered. And then those details that we set when we created the reunion all live here on details. So the name, the description, when it's happening, where it's happening, lodging information can be added here. So maybe you have a host venue, a host hotel, all of those details get stored there. You can also create your itinerary. So it's a multi-day reunion. Each day that you set for the reunion dates appears here, and you can add different events. So maybe you have registration and check-in, maybe you have a welcome reception, a cookout, dinner, a tour, whatever events you might have can go here. And something additional that can be added here is that maybe some of these events are limited capacity or they're ticketed. And so you can set a capacity. Go to this one. You can set a capacity here, and then if it's ticketed, you can also add a cost here. Next, we'll go to registration. So this is where you can add what we call tickets, but again, you may refer to it by another name. It could be registration or dues, which we also have for you to set. This reunion has a child ticket, a teen ticket, a senior ticket, an adult ticket, and little ones. So very extensive, but it gives you the ability to set different tickets based on an age range. You can set start and end dates. So if maybe you have an early bird ticket or a late registration, that can be set based on the dates here. You can set the costs for each, as well as a description. You can also choose to set a free registration or free ticket. And then we mentioned things like t-shirts, dues, or other things you might sell. Maybe there's other merch. Maybe there's a love offering or something else that you want to offer to family. Those can be set here and also can be purchased on the reunion website once it's published. Here we can, on form preview, we can take a look at what the registration form looks like for those who are going to register. And you can add custom questions or change the questions that are on the form. So sometimes we need to know things like dietary restrictions or accessibility needs, or if you're staying at the host hotel, when you might be arriving, what your family branch is. You can add an upload feature so that when people register, maybe they can upload photos. Whatever you choose, you can add custom, or you can add some templates that we already have for you. Next is access. So you can set your reunion website to have open registration, which means anyone who goes to the website can click on the RSVP link and then register for your reunion, or invite only, which means that you will send invitations to your guest list and they'll be able to register by receiving the link, or when they go to the reunion website and click on RSVP, they'll need to enter a specific detail like their email address in order to register and find their name on the guest list. You can also set your opening and closing dates and again adjust the number of spots. and then your refund policies as well. So we'll breeze through a few more features. To get the full walkthrough and demo, we'll actually have an event on Friday where we'll really go into what Connect is, how it works, answer some questions to really support reunion planning. But there's another feature for tasks, so you can assign committee members who are planning with you to tasks. They'll get email reminders. You can manage a guest list, create parties, so there might be groups, message people on the guest list, add details, keep up with payments. So whether they're in cash or other digital payments or collected via Kinect, they can be tracked here. And I mentioned the reunion website a few times. So that's something that you can make adjustments to, add family history information, reunion details, check out to order t-shirts, register, get the reunion details. All of that can be set here. This is just what it looks like by default for this reunion. You can also change the themes there. There's a share page, so if you want to share a registration form with folks, you can get a QR code that you can print out, share in other formats, so that people can easily reach your registration.
And if you have a reunion website already, you can add a button to your site here.
Yep. So yeah, like some of us have johnsonfamilyreunion.com, and maybe you want to keep your website wherever it's hosted. You can then just use the registration form like Meshia just mentioned.
Yeah. You not only get the registration button, but that registration button links you to the whole entire platform for you to manage the reunion. You just wouldn't need to make the website here live.
We also have messaging, so you can send text messages, emails to your guest list, to certain sub lists, some people who have RSVP'd or not RSVP'd or haven't paid their balance. So you don't have to have the group text or group me or WhatsApp or whatever else might be used. You can send those blasts or individual messages here. And then this is a finances page. This reunion is really cashed out. Well, actually not. They have a $2 million gap, so some work to do. But here you can keep track of your reunion expenses. So if there are vendors who need to be paid, keep track of when they're paid, who the vendor is, who's responsible for paying, as well as revenues that are coming in. And you can create a reunion fund.
And so reunion funds can be kind of like GoFundMe's or certain crowdfunding websites. A little bit differently though, but you can say like, hey, this is our goal to reach. Maybe your reunion is costing $15,000 for all 150 people to be there, and we need to cover the costs. And so it will show how everybody's contributions go to the fund, but people might also want to share with friends and family, like as a fundraiser to get everybody to their goal. Or like maybe there's elders who can't afford it, and so or children or people want to sponsor somebody. This is how they can do it. And this is something that we are very interested in hearing more about from folks. And then the next thing is we're going to look at vendors. So here you can keep track of your vendors and the contracts and any kind of receipts or anything that you might need from anyone. And you can also know kind of where you're going with your budget, like are all the vendors' fees covered?
You can also upload media. So this could be family memories, photos of maybe family elders or the generations before, recent reunion memories, and then also after the reunion happens, this is a place where you can access and add to the memories. So for this Johnson family or Jackson family reunion that we're looking at now, once it happens, photos, videos, other memories from that reunion can all be added here, and they create an archive for you. So you, as the planner, then have access to a
Family archive.
family archive, yeah, for your reunions and much more that you can share, continue to add to, and really fill out the story of your family.
And people, you mentioned people can contribute to it.
Yeah, you can share, and we can take a look at what that entails. But basically, like we mentioned earlier on in this call, that each of us has a piece of the story. So being able to share and collaborate with others is a huge part of this. And with Connect and with kinkofa, you can invite others to join you and document the fuller story. And speaking of which, this is another section specifically for family history that can be added to your reunion site. Things like a cover photo, the family story, maybe ancestor spotlights. So maybe it's the matriarch, patriarch of the family that you want to call out, other notable members of the family, and just generally what the reunion legacy is. So maybe your reunion has been running for 35 years and you want to document each of those reunion years, you could do that here. The last thing that I'll show is just what I mentioned before, that you can invite your committee members to join and help you with the planning process. And just at a high level, that's Connect. Like we mentioned before, it really combines a lot of the headache that comes with planning a reunion and makes it much more simple to manage, to keep up with, to invite the help of others, and make bringing the family together about joy and not work.
Yeah. So if there are any questions from anyone in the audience, feel free to let us know now, to type it in the chat. We can see it after if you're watching the replay. Yeah, that's it for now. If you want to set up a reunion with us, we're having plan a reunion with us on Friday, this Friday, July 31st, at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard. Mountain, I don't know. Mountain, I guess that would be
It's just
4
1 hour behind.
4 o'clock, or 5 o'clock, sorry. But you can find that information on our Instagram or any of the platforms that you're currently watching on. But yes, if there's any questions, go ahead and let us know. Did you have another question for me? You were coming up with something earlier to ask me.
No other questions, but I look forward to seeing folks at our events later this week. And then also,
Where can people find it?
our events.
Both the events and also the app.
So we'll share on the live how you can access the app. The easiest way is just to go to kinkofa.com, KINKOFA. But we did put a link there in the chat that takes you directly to Connect. If you log in or sign up from there, you'll go straight to our family reunion planning tool. And then to find the rest of our events, there are a few places you can go. One is to any of our social channels. We post it there, but we'll share the link to directly RSVP. So for some events that we have tomorrow, including archived and source material with some incredible artists and creatives who will share a bit about their creative work and how they're using things like photographs and photography or oral history as a way to make creative work and tell the stories of communities and people. And we also will have our Plan a Reunion with Us event on Friday, where we will demo Kinnect fully. Here's a look at that lineup. Thank you. So we'll just leave that up there for a second, but definitely RSVP so that you get the link.
You can screenshot it since you're on your computer or your phone or tablet, and then you can click the link from there.
Yeah. That's it from us for now.
Yes. And hi to our family and friends. And oh, yes. So we have a question from Instagram. So we're trying to monitor comments from different places. But one of the questions is, can you just use it to archive photos? So do you want to talk about that really quickly?
Yeah, you can use kinkofa to archive photos. So really, kinkofa supports you in doing a few things. Gathering is one that we've talked about with Kinnect and reunion planning, but we also can use it to preserve. So that might be photos that you've scanned or photos that are in your phone or in your computer, or in other places like Google Drive, Google Photos, Dropbox. And having one place to document, tell the story of the photo, so that it's not just living on the internet.
Yeah, it's like file number 1,002,680.
And maybe there's other things that aren't photos, like I mentioned newspaper clippings earlier, or documents, important records,
Videos.
Some of us do genealogy work, so it could be vital documents like birth records, marriage certificates. All of that can be archived and organized in a way that makes sense to your family, your community, or however you're researching. And then you can also record. So we released a tool called Rememory, which is also on kinkofa and free with your account, where you can record oral histories. I can show how that looks. Just a second.
So give us just a second, but we'll pull up the app so you all can see the rest of the things.
So Rememory is, like I mentioned, a tool for recording stories, for interviews you may have with, maybe it's an elder or a young person in your family who has a story that you want to preserve. We built Rememory because we know that oral history is a huge part of how our history is documented, how it's passed forward. And it's also been inspiring to our work through the work of people like
Zora Neale
Hurston, yes.
Eddie Faye Gates.
Eddie Faye Gates, yeah, those folks.
Donald Payton. Lots of great oral historians. And just people who tell stories about anything and everything. I don't think they have to formally be oral historians. There's a lot of people who are really good at telling our history.
Yeah. And so this isn't just for the storytellers. You can use this on your own. We have prompt decks, which are basically question sets that you can respond to get a story out. So maybe it's something about recipes and foodways, and there's 22 questions in this pack about foodways and recipes, or about growing up, holidays, music and movies. So you basically select one or more question prompt decks, and you don't have to, you can just record as well, but we'll go ahead with that. Your camera would show here. We're already on camera, so that won't show. Your name will appear there when you join the studio. And from here, you can either start recording, you can invite someone to join, so you can enter their phone number there, and they'll get a text message with a link to join, or their email, and they'll get an email with the same, or a direct link that you can share with someone. And then your prompts show up over here. So as you're recording, talking, or asking the questions, you have access to those prompts while either you're responding or whomever else is on with you. And Misha mentioned something earlier in the call about reunions. A lot of families have maybe it's a family call or a virtual gathering on a weekly, monthly, however often basis. Rememory is a tool that can be used for that as well. Maybe it's just coming together and having a good time on camera. And rememory can be a way to preserve some of those moments where the stories often come out.
To record it and preserve it.
Yes.
So going back to the question about just using it to preserve photos, we'll go to we go back to home, and then we have this digital archive. So here we have some examples of things uploaded. Do you want to show how to upload something or show something you've uploaded?
Yeah, so on the left, these are my spaces. Spaces are basically like a workspace where you can organize the memories that you upload, those memories being photos, videos, documents, recordings. And you can create spaces based on different topics. Maybe it's a family branch or for your reunion or for the community that you're from, whatever you choose. And within it, you can create collections, which are sort of like albums where those memories get organized. If I click this one, I can see photos that I've uploaded. And I can add information to it. And so this one's titled Mr. Doles. This is one of my great uncles, Tommy Doles. I can add information about him. So a photo of Uncle Tommy Doles.
In an amazing suit.
So I can add a description there. I can tag. So I don't think that I've added Tommy. So I can tag him. I can tag where this was. And then any themes or tags. So this is a
Dapper dudes.
portrait. So added those themes.
And then where does that get saved?
So these details get saved on this particular memory, but also make it possible for me to easily find and sort through.
You could also share it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an option to share. So maybe, your aunt, who is Tommy Doles' daughter, or sorry, wife. Maybe she has a story about him and where they were at, and you want to get that story from her. You can send her the link, and she can then go in, either record the story behind it via voice, or she could type it in. You can also share with family, like maybe it's his birthday and you want to honor him with that. You can add comments here and you can see other people's comments. And so maybe even, their child has more stories like, oh, I inherited this suit and I also have a photo in that suit. That's one of the ways that you can do it. You can also organize it into spaces based on whatever it is that you want to organize your memories around. So it could be your Doyle's family branch.
Like we said before, memories can be photos, they can be documents, videos, and recordings as well. So if I record it to Rememory, that recording can also be organized into a space or collection. So maybe you want to create a collection of oral histories or about or maybe leading up to your family reunion. That's one way to do it.
All right. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting us in all the ways that you have supported us over the last 5 years. Um, Anything else? I do have a question for you as a closeout.
Okay.
What's one word to describe how you want the next 5 years to feel?
Um, I'll say joyful.
Hmm.
I think both for who we build kinkofa for, like joy is meant to be in the center of that. Whether it's the stories that we're documenting, thinking of memories that we have, it should be centered with joy and care. But also the work that we do for the next 5 years. I hope and set the intention that it'll be joyful as well. More joyful. What about you?
I'll say fun.
Okay.
um, I have two words. Sorry, fun, and then impactful would be my second word. And the impact, again, that I want to have is that more and more families and young people. I know that's something that people always say is like, how do we get more young people interested in the family history? That by making this a more fun process through the platform, more people become interested in doing this. And I think the word that we always say is easeful. So continuing to think of ways that we can make it easier for people to preserve and find and document and gather around our history, around our families, I think is the last word.
I have one more word actually.
Okay.
It's not a word for your question, but for those who are watching and made it to the end, stay tuned. We mentioned the events that are coming up this week, but there might be some more events or announcements coming later in the next week. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Any final?
That's it for me.
All right. So if you are watching the recap, definitely leave us messages of support, words of encouragement, any questions you have, and we'll get back to you. But thank y'all so much again for being here, and we'll see y'all later. Take care.